Hello, today's video is unexpected, even for me. Its format is quite unusual. This video is an announcement of a project. Right now, I'm on my way to inspect and negotiate regarding this project. The project is, for me, quite large scale and complex. On one hand, it logically follows from my previous work, which I've described in detail and continue to share on this channel. But unforeseen circumstances intervened, and I had to make a difficult decision. Let me start with the key point. Unexpectedly, I received an offer to purchase a surface grinding machine, the same model I've been restoring recently. I wasn't looking for this offer. It came up by chance, though of course it's also largely predictable. This offer had arguments for and against. Let's start with the arguments against. First, I live in wartime conditions. The future is hard to predict, and it's risky to engage in a project that requires significant time, substantial costs for me, and is tied to such a bulky, heavy, and hard to transport object. After all, no one knows where future events will lead us. Second, the project requires significant material resources, which I only hope to obtain under favorable circumstances during the work itself. This creates risks of problematic project progress. Such a machine requires a separate foundation, a lifting crane, and a suitable facility. Only after meeting these conditions can I start restoring the machine. So, deciding on this project isn't easy for me. Yet, I'm forced to take the risk. In these uncertain times of war, I'm diverting funds to a complex project. In connection with this, I feel some doubts, but I've made the decision and chosen hope. But there are also strong arguments in favor. First, I have the opportunity to restore the machine to a very high quality level. After a year of working on a similar restoration, I now deeply understand what tools to use, what conditions to create for the best result, and what result is practically achievable. Also, relying on my experience and the ability to use an already operational grinding machine, I can improve the method of restoring the geometry of the guideways. Second, the machine model is exactly the one I've already worked with, and I'm familiar enough with its mechanical components. Third, the machine's general specifications mostly meet my needs. Grinding line length along the x-axis up to 1250 mm, along the y-axis up to 500 mm. These are decent capabilities. I hope to use this machine for work with measuring tools, grinding calibration plates and rulers, and restoring the beds of various small-sized machines, lathes, milling machines, and others. Fourth, the machine is located geographically very close, within the same city, just over 10 kilometers away. I had the opportunity to thoroughly inspect its condition before deciding and to organize its dismantling and transportation without haste. Thanks to the short distance, transportation will cost the minimum for such a service. Fifth, the price of the machine is reasonable. Sixth, inspecting the machine suggests it was used sparingly and is thus minimally worn. I can now compare its condition to a similar machine I recently restored, and I see significant advantages in terms of its wear condition. This impression is confirmed by conversations with employees of the company, where the machine spent the last 3 decades or so. The nature of the company's operations meant this machine was used very infrequently. I want to show you now what its main guideways look like. Most likely, the scraper marks you see were made during the machine's manufacture. Such rough, careless scraping, typical of Soviet manufacturers, limited itself to grinding the guideways. This was considered sufficient for the machine's accuracy. The scraper was only used to scratch grooves that helped retain lubricant. Indeed, thanks to grinding, the machine met the established standards for machining accuracy. I found no wear on this guideway deeper than the scraper marks. That's very encouraging. Also, I have a place on my private property where I can lay a foundation for this machine and set it up for further operation. However, for now, there's only a suitable piece of land where I can, and must, lay the foundation, create lifting mechanisms suitable for the machine, and build the facility itself. Perhaps, in time, the restored machine will operate right here. Agree, it's clear that I've embarked on this, almost an adventure, or maybe not. Perhaps it's a completely realistic plan. Sometimes it feels like this is exactly how it's meant to be. And most importantly, this project is very exciting for me. I can channel all my accumulated knowledge and skills into it, confirm theoretical concepts through practice, and discover new, interesting, and important aspects related to precision metal working. I'm convinced from my recent restoration of the 3B 722 machine that practical work provides new knowledge, raises unforeseen questions and challenges, creates new perspectives, skills, solutions, and methods for machine restoration on a large scale. Here, I've included footage of the work on creating a straight edge for the recently completed restoration of a similar machine. It's probably been over a year since that footage was shot. This is for new viewers, so you can see that everything is done thoroughly and I create perfect tools for myself. Check out my previous videos and then my new project will become completely clear to you. I made this precision bubble level for myself quite a while ago, based on a vial with a scale division of 0.02 millimeters per meter of support offset. It's one of my main measuring instruments. A video about it is available on this channel. Here are video footage of a recent repair of a similar machine, performed based on the readings of an autocollimator. I will repair this machine using the same method, of course, even more carefully and thoroughly. I will now try to achieve the maximum result from this method. We will see what is possible. When you take on a project like this, interesting circumstances arise that you couldn't have predicted. Only practical work delivers truly remarkable experiences. Now, there's an opportunity to execute a project to achieve near ideal geometry for all three pairs of the machine's linear motion, starting with a rationally designed and constructed foundation that won't negatively affect the machine's geometry during temperature fluctuations. I'll likely incorporate the ability to adjust the x-axis guideway using special jacks with micro-amplitude movement, achieved through a combination of threaded pairs with minimal pitch deviation and a backlash-free design. If desired, this process could be made controllable possibly even in real time online. This, as I see it now, is an unconventional solution. This 57-year-old 7-ton machine, generously built with a lot of cast iron, is a great foundation for creating an ideal surface grinding machine. Its dirty peeling surface and some minor damage shouldn't scare us. It's not significant. But the strength of its cast iron body, the generous multi-ton volume of cast iron, which was not spared during its manufacture, providing true rigidity and decades of settling its internal stresses. That's what I value. There isn't a single component in it that I can't restore to perfect condition. Everything can be excellently repaired. I hope that after a complete overhaul, it will meet the highest accuracy standards, as I have all the necessary conditions to make this vision a reality. Bringing this idea to life is an exciting endeavor for me. I hope you'll also find it interesting to follow the progress of this new project. Since I'll be the owner of the machine, I won't be restricted in my actions, not needing to coordinate them. Investing significant effort and funds will be justified. These are my dreams for this machine. For now, I need to remove this machine from its old supports and drag it out of the workshop into the open, where a lifting crane can be used to load it onto a truck for transportation. Now, I sincerely want to thank my sponsors on Patreon and YouTube. I wouldn't have dared to start this project without your support. I've dived into this new, incredibly exciting project, relying on your support. Without it, it will be very tough for me. With your help, I'll carry out the restoration of this machine from A to Z. I independently generate technical ideas, and I assure you, a significant part of this new work will constitute know-how, material that hasn't been published before. It will be worth your attention. Please help me create this content. About 40 sponsors currently support my YouTube channel, which makes me somewhat less vulnerable to external circumstances than before. I ask those who find it possible to join in sponsoring, as this project is quite challenging for my modest financial resources at the moment, and there are still many expenses ahead. Of course, I rely on certain capabilities of my own, which are gradually forming. But unfortunately, they're not enough yet for rapid progress. And I wouldn't want to move at a snail's pace. Your help will be transformed into new content, which I hope will be as interesting for you as it is for me. Without your support, I'll be balancing in such a precarious position, lacking enough points of support, barely making a hesitant small step forward. So, an updated plan for the near future has now taken shape. I am mastering the rented machine, which I recently restored along the x-axis. You already know a lot about it, and it will significantly help moving forward. I am equipping it for grinding calibration rulers, straight edge, beds of small-sized machines, and other similar tasks, improving it where possible. Additionally, I'm setting up my own grinding machine in the most perfect format possible, hoping to achieve maximum precision after its thorough, impeccable restoration. At the same time, I need to improve my metrological laboratory, so there will be videos about precise measurements as well. I'm already building a special stand for the OL1 1600 instrument and preparing related material. Performing precise work is impossible without proper measurements. I hope to achieve this goal together with you. Perhaps some of you, dear viewers, can help me solve a strange puzzle. While restoring the 3B722 machine, I became thoroughly familiar with its design and can clearly see that the machine I acquired is a 3B722, or at least structurally identical to it. However, on its nameplate from the manufacturer, the same Lipetsk machine tool plant, the model is listed as LSH5, not 3B722. Why? I couldn't find any information about LSH5 online. There's no doubt the nameplate is genuine, installed by the manufacturer. I don't know the reason. It's a mystery. Maybe someone among you knows the answer? Please write about it. I want to note that most people, as a rule, don't understand the true value of such an old machine, judging it by its appearance. Here, aesthetic impressions are misleading. Of course, restoring it to full operational capability and top quality involves a certain amount of work, requiring appropriate skills and equipment, as well as some expenses. But the result of these efforts is impressive. After restoration, the machine will uncompromisingly regain all its capabilities. If desired, it can be equipped with modern CNC control. And in that state, it won't be inferior to modern machines that cost a fortune. In some criteria, it may even have an advantage. Here is the sequence of events. Thank you for your attention, subscriptions, comments, likes, and for watching my videos. Goodbye.